as a Nigerian, you see how this pharmacy of a thing is going on in Nigeria. Anybody that finished learning
Mhm.
apprentice from their oga, they go open a chemist. And when they open a chemist
Yes.
shop, and people will go there to buy medications without doctor's prescription. As you can see in the Philippines, you cannot just go to Mercury Drugstore or St. Joseph and get medication without prescription. While in Nigeria, it's opposite. So what do you have to say about that? Hi everyone. So if you could remember the last time we were supposed to interview this young man sitting down here right now, but he didn't show up. Yeah, the reason was because he had a shoot that day and we were scared. We thought something had happened to him, right? But thank God nothing happened to him. That was why I rescheduled another interview with him. And yay, today he is here with us to, share with us his experience as a photographer in the Philippines. So,
Yeah.
okay, his display name here is Kaycee. Hi, Kaycee, but I do call him Kelechi.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay. So,
How are you doing?
yeah. Oh, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm sorry about last week because the shoot took longer than it was supposed to, but yeah, at least I'm here today. So yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so can
Yeah.
you start by introducing yourself to us? We would love to know you.
Okay. All right. So, full name is Kelechi Solomon Izundu, but since the name is so long for Filipinos to pronounce, I just go by Casey with everyone. So, yeah, and I am 25 years old, and I am from Imo State, Nigeria, and yeah, currently here in the Philippines. I'm done with my studies, and I'm yeah currently working as a photographer and part time doing customer service for an Australian company.
What company?
An Australian company. We're not really allowed to
Australia.
say the name. Yeah, it's an Australian company, but
Okay.
we're not allowed to say the name. Yeah.
Okay. So when Filipinos
Okay.
pronounce your name Kelechi, how was it? Like how was it sounding?
Uh, I mean, it's a bit hard to it's a bit hard to explain because like they don't know how to pronounce it because like at least like if it's a Nigerian, they already have an idea of how to pronounce the name like Kelechuku, right? But like with
Yeah.
them, they'll be like Kelechukwa or Kele, like it just I
Kelechukwa.
don't know. Yeah, so it's
It's so funny.
so
So
yeah, it
Casey, yeah,
sounds
Casey is very easy to pronounce. It's okay.
yeah. I just go by Casey. It's a
So what made you leave Nigeria to the
okay.
Philippines?
Yeah, I mean like with Nigeria, it's almost the same. It's almost the same thing with everyone in the sense that you know how you graduate from from high school or will I say from secondary school, and then you get into that phase where you have to write JAM, you have to write WAEC, you have to write NECO. So I had my first experience with JAM, and it wasn't so good. Like it wasn't. I didn't get the cutoff mark for the school I wanted to go to at the time. I wanted to go to Conv- uh, was the name Covenant University at that time.
It's a
So I
private
tried the
university,
first
right?
year. Yeah, but there was like a there was like a certain cutoff for like the course I wanted. And that time I actually wanted to study architecture because like I was more into like drawing, I was more into like art, technical drawing. So but my parents didn't want that. They didn't want me taking architecture. So I tried the second year. I actually got the cutoff mark and then I applied for the school. So I actually did get the school, like I got it the second time, but by that time things were a bit hard in Nigeria. So my dad was like, he can't afford it at that time. So he was like, if there's any other place you want me that I want to apply to that he can afford and that he doesn't actually want me taking architecture, that he wanted me to take pharmacy. That if it's pharmacy, that if I'm willing to take pharmacy for him, that he can send me abroad. Well, as a Nigerian, once you hear abroad, of course you wanna, of course you wanna leave Nigeria as soon as possible. So, as
Right.
soon as I heard abroad, then I started looking at different schools, different countries, And yeah, like some of them very like, especially when it had to do like with the school fees. That was where the biggest challenge was. Like some schools are so expensive for pharmacy, and then
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, that was the main reason why I actually left Nigeria, because like the jam didn't work, and my dad couldn't
Yeah.
afford convenient university at the time. Yeah.
Okay, but now I'm kind of curious. Since your dad said he was gonna send you abroad,
Mm.
how come you ended up in the Philippines? How did you get to know about the Philippines? Why not US, UK, Australia, Canada, like the other big countries?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, if you actually look at it, it's like, I think for myself at that age, I was like, okay, if he cannot afford convenient university, I think
Yeah.
he might find it a little bit hard to send me to somewhere like US, where the school fees is like millions, like millions of naira. So I think on my part, I was like, better not to put him in that situation whereby he has to suffer to like pay for school fees and all that. Yeah, so yes, I didn't want to put him in that situation of where he had to struggle to like pay school fees, accommodation, because it was like so expensive. So I started looking at like other schools, and I actually applied to Cyprus, Russia, and Ukraine. I got medicine in Russia, I got medicine in Ukraine, but I didn't get pharmacy. Cyprus, I got pharmacy, but it was still so expensive until there was a childhood friend of mine who we went to the same secondary school together, and then she told me like, hey, like Philippines is actually good. Like the school fees is cheap, like not so cheap, but like it's very affordable for like if you're like in the middle class in Nigeria, like it's something you could afford, right? And then she was like,
Hmm.
yeah, and then even the standard of living is not so high, and like it's a free country. It's not so bad like some other countries. So I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So then I looked into like Philippines. Like I actually did some research, and then I actually found that like it was actually cool. And then I knew some people here that I didn't know were here at the time. So I started messaging them. I was like, like, how is life in Philippines? And I got like positive responses from all of them. So I was like, then I told my dad, I was like, okay, like I think Philippines might be the one, because like the school fees at the time was, I think, like 100K, 150K per sem at the time, and that was good for pharmacy. That was cheap for
150K
pharmacy
naira,
compared to like,
right?
yeah, at the time that was like 2016. That was like
Yeah.
150K naira per sem. So if in total per year you could pay like maybe 400 at most for a whole year. So
Mm.
when I told my dad, he was like, okay, fine, like pursue it and let's see how it goes.
And then you got it.
Yeah, like so I applied through an agent actually. So the agent was
Come
here, so
here.
I applied.
Were you surprised that you don't have to write an entrance exam to get into school, to do this, that, just like the way they do in Nigeria?
Well, I mean, it was how would I put it? I would say, yeah, I was more surprised, and I was kind of
Mm.
happy that I didn't have to go through, like when you've taken JAMB and WIAC, and the stress of writing those
Yeah,
exams,
I do.
and then knowing that, yeah, and then like going to a school whereby you don't really have to write an exam. I mean, for some of the schools, you would write like an assessment exam, but it's just like
Yeah.
mathematics, English, and just general reasoning. They're not trying to use that for your admission. They're just trying to see your IQ level or something.
What course did you say you took up in the Philippines?
Okay, yeah. So I took pharmacy like as my dad wanted. So I
Okay.
decided to try I decided to go for pharmacy, and I actually got the admission to study
Yeah.
pharmacy here in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually
Yeah.
studied pharmacy.
So you graduated or you're still studying?
Oh no, I'm done. I'm already done.
But did you really love the pharmacy? Because I remember you told me um you're into arts like that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so how do I put it? It's more like, okay, so I grew up, loving art, I'm more into sketching, I'm more anything that has to do with art, like I love it. But
Okay.
then
So that's your
I
passion.
think yeah, that's my passion. Anything that has to do with art, things like that, that's my passion. So I think what happened is at the time, they made me realize like the benefits of actually studying pharmacy, like the pros
Okay.
and cons of actually studying pharmacy and studying architecture. So, like when I actually looked at it, I actually realized that, if I study pharmacy, I'll be more of an independent person because I can start up my own business. I can do my own, like if ever I want to go into manufacturing, I could do that on my own. I don't have to be employed by somebody else. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, you'd have to do like the internships and stuff, but like when it has to do with like time to make money, I don't have
Mm.
to really depend on salary. It's something I can actually do on my own compared to like if I was a nurse or if I was a med tech, I'll have to be
Yeah.
employed. But as a
Yeah.
pharmacist, I can start my business up. I can do my like if I want to start a manufacturing company, I can do that by myself. So I think those are the things that actually like will I say encouraged me to like study the course. My first year was okay, and
Yeah.
like I think gradually I just fell in love with the course. Like after I saw the benefits, I just fell in love with the course. You know.
Okay. Because the reason why I asked is that some people's passion were something else and their parents wanted them to study this and they struggled taking up what their parents
Hmm.
wanted them. So that was what I wanted to know. It's good to hear your own side of view that you actually enjoyed it as a process. So
Yeah.
another question is, as a Nigerian, you see how this pharmacy of a thing is going on in Nigeria. Anybody that finished learning
Hmm.
apprentice from their oga, they go open a chemist. And when they open a chemist
Yes.
shop, and people will go there to buy medications without doctor's prescription. As you can see in the Philippines, you cannot just go to Mercury Drugstore or St. Joseph and get medication without prescription. While in Nigeria, it's opposite. So what do you have to say about that? Because I remember then in Nigeria, I went to get medicine for headache, and the chemist guy mixed
Mm.
different colors of medicine for me just for headache.
Okay, so I think on my own part, how I see, the difference between Nigeria and Philippines is in the sense of, um, I'll put it in the sense of government organization, in the sense that here everything is monitored, everything is kind of under the watch. Like
Organized.
it's something
Yeah.
that yeah, everything is organized. Yeah, that's the word I'll use. Like everything is organized in the sense that they have their laws when it has to do with pharmacy. They have their they call them acts. Like even in Nigeria they have their own acts, that's what they call them. So like there are some rules and regulations that you have to follow in the Philippines. Like you
Mm.
cannot dispense some kind of drugs unless there's like some people don't even know that there are different types of prescription. Like some people just feel like there's just one prescription. There are some that they
Mm.
call yellow prescription. There are some they call um what do they call it? It's been a while since I've been in school. But anyways, like there, like for instance, there's like a yellow prescription. That's for like a drug that is highly dangerous, and you cannot just buy it.
Mm.
You cannot just buy it with, you cannot just buy it because the doctor said you should. There's a particular type of paper, there's a type of
Yeah.
prescription they have to give you before you can
Yeah.
get that. So here it's yeah, so here it's a bit organized, and everything is watched by the government. Like even when you take a prescription somewhere and you said, oh, my doctor gave me this to buy this,
Mm.
the pharmacist would know and say it, like it's impossible that the doctor gave you this. Like some people would forge like they would forge like a
Yes.
fake
Yes.
prescription and take it to the pharmacy, and the pharmacist would know here, and he would tell you it's impossible that the doctor told you to get this medication because they know that it
Yeah.
comes in a different kind of prescription, or it has a
Yes.
different kind of instruction on it. So here
Mm.
they know, or they keep to those rules and regulations, while in Nigeria they prioritize the money than those rules and regulations. Like if I know, like, okay, I know that there's some drugs that are so expensive. Like, okay, if maybe for instance the drug is 20,000 and you take it
Mm.
to Nigeria and you say, oh, my doctor said I should get this. Me as a pharmacist, I know I should not give that prescription, that drug without a prescription. But because I
Mm.
want to make that money that fast, I don't mind. I don't mind breaking the rules just to make that 20,000 or make that 25,000 or 30K.
True.
So it's that's
True.
just the difference that I see. And And Nigeria is, anybody can actually open up um a chemist shop. Some people will tell you, "Oh,
Mm.
I learned it from my oga." They didn't really
Yeah.
go to school for it. They just learned it as a trade, and they
Mm.
don't really know. Sometimes they don't even know what side effects are. They don't know what
True.
counter reactions are. They don't know what mixing these two drugs might do to somebody. But all they know is, "Oh, I learned it from my oga. My oga said if you have fever, give them this red one. If they have this one, give them this blue one." So I think that's where the difference is, in the sense that in the Philippines it's organized. You have to go to school. You cannot just work in a pharmacy without going to school. But
True.
in
True.
Nigeria, anybody can work there. In a Philippine pharmacy, the only person you might see who didn't study pharmacy might be, maybe if the person is just maybe a secretary, or the person just handling the cash or the money. Yeah, that is
Or the
fine. But
security
any
or the security guy. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, or the
Yes.
security person there. So, but apart from those, everybody else working in a pharmacy shop did go to school for pharmacy, even if
And
maybe
they
they don't
wrote
have a
their board
license. They have
exam.
to go to school.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. You have to write your board exam. So I think that's just the difference between Nigeria and Philippines in the
I
organization aspect.
I actually like the fact that so many Nigerians are studying pharmacy, going to school for it. Maybe this will
Mm.
motivate those people who did not go to school to want to go to school and get their degrees, and for them to know that there is
Yes,
more to pharmacy than just learning from their oga and then being settled and
hmm
open up their own. I think I love the
exactly.
pharmacy, and thank God for your dad, and thank you for listening to your dad as well.
Yeah, like honestly, I don't know where I would be now, or if I
Mm,
would be doing what I'm doing now if I had taken architecture and actually
mm,
struggled to spend 7 years. So I
mm.
don't know what that would have been like, but I'm super grateful right now that I went with what he said, and I am where I am today. So yeah, I think I'm happy
Good.
with that.
I think some people will be inspired by this. Thanks for sharing. So let me be a little bit nosy.
Okay.
You have a Filipina girlfriend?
Okay. Yes, I do. Yes, I have one. We've been together for like 2 years.
2 years. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's been like 2 years now.
Oh, okay. So, do you
Yeah.
speak Tagalog? Do you eat Filipino food? And if you do, what is your favorite Filipino dish?
Okay, when it comes to speaking Tagalog, I think I have a hard time learning languages, like even my own dialect, which is Igbo. Like I have a hard time actually, I don't know. I think a lot of people make fun of me because I don't know how to speak my language fluently. So it's a bit hard for me to actually learn Tagalog because I find it really hard. I don't know why. It's just me. I find it hard learning languages. So, but I speak a bit. Like I learn some of the words. Like I pick some of the words. And so, like if you're speaking in Tagalog, I would pick out those words that I know and put them
Mm,
together in my head, and I'm like, okay, this is probably what they're talking about, and then I
okay.
can try to relate when they're having the conversation. And if I don't know, yeah, there's always someone to like try to explain. And yeah, when it comes to eating Filipino food, yeah, I do eat Filipino food, and I I think I'm torn between caldereta and chicken adobo. So
Oh,
I'm not sure between
I
the
love
two,
them
but
too.
yeah, but those are the yeah, but those are my two favorite, Filipino
So,
foods. Yeah.
which part of the Philippines is your girlfriend from?
She's here from Manila, from Quezon City.
Uh-huh. What made you go into photography?
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So I think yeah, that's a question that needs to be answered. In the sense that when you move to a country, especially like Philippines, where you know that um, job opportunities are not there. It's not that they're not there, but they are
Yeah.
so hard to find, and they have so many requirements. Especially when you're a student, you cannot
Mm,
be a working student, and you cannot be a student and you cannot work at the same time. It's not allowed. So I
yes.
think one of the things that encouraged me was when like I heard like people saying like, oh, you have to start up something. It's called freelancing, something that you don't have to be employed for, something that you love that you can do that, or service that you can render that they would pay you for. So I checked a lot of things that I know how to do. Like I know how to cut hair. I know how to. I draw. Like I do art. Like I could do make a sketch. But like I looked at those things and I was like, these things cannot really pay for my bills. These things cannot pay for my rent. It cannot pay for my food. It can't pay for this. It can just give me maybe little money, like very little money. So then, like loving art, then I looked into photography. So what I would do back then, I think I was in my third year back then. I would borrow my friend's camera just to go and shoot. Like I would just borrow my friend's camera and shoot, and then he would be like, "Okay, what am I gonna get in return?" And then I'd be like, "Okay, I could do your assignment, or I could take you out during the weekend to eat something." And then he'd be like, "Okay, okay, okay, fine, you can have it." So I would borrow his camera. He's Filipino actually. Yeah. So he's Filipino
Oh,
actually. So I'd borrow his camera back then, and then I would call some of my friends, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, come, let's take pictures." Then I would practice, how to manipulate the camera, like exposures and different, like things that has to do with the camera. So like I would try
mm,
to learn them, and like the things I didn't know, I think back then YouTube was my best friend, and even till today YouTube is still my best friend, because everything, or how I have grown or how I have progressed, everything did come
yeah,
from YouTube, because like
yeah,
there are a lot of people doing this thing. So it's always a good thing to watch people who have done it longer than you, so you can actually learn. So I
mm,
think going into photography was something that I loved. I didn't see it as I had to work.
yeah,
It felt more like I was doing something that I love to get money. So that kind of
yeah.
feeling when you're passionate about something and it gives you money. I think that's like the best feeling ever. So
Oh,
photography was that for me. And then at that time, school was also hard. Like pharmacy is not easy. I would not lie to you. Pharmacy is not easy. Like you would not have a social life. You
yeah,
cannot be one of those students who would be like, yeah, I want to drink on a Friday, I want to drink on a Saturday, I want to drink on a Sunday.
yeah.
Sometimes
Hangover.
Saturdays, yeah, like sometimes Saturdays we're in school, we're reciting something, or we're doing some
I know,
project, or we're
right?
doing this. So it's like, yeah, so it's like social life is something that you would not have. But like with photography, like it was something I was passionate about to do. Like after
Mm,
classes, maybe classes would end like 5 p.m. I would still
mm.
want to go somewhere and shoot because I was happy doing it. So I think that was like one of the reasons why I really went into photography like full time.
Oh, wow. So, you learned this photography of a thing on your own and by practicing and by watching videos on YouTube, right?
Yeah, that is very true. Like most people would
So,
ask me
how
like,
how
did you
long
go
have
to
you been
school
into
for this?
photography? Sorry?
Okay. I don't know. I was just saying that, like most people who meet me, they'll be like, did you go to school for this? And I'll be like, no, I didn't. Like everything I learned by myself or by video. And yeah, basically that was how like I just did it. And till today, I'm still learning.
Yeah, we learn
So
every
based on the
day.
question, yeah, and based on the question you asked, so I started officially January January 15, 2018. That was when I officially started. Like I created a page, I put a name on it, and I'm like, okay, this is me starting. So yeah, it started in January 2018.
So, what is the name of your page? Eh,
Truth. If you check it on Instagram, it's Truth Pics. So TruthPix. So
Okay,
it's
I
like
think
Truth
I'm
Pictures,
gonna
but it's
put
like
your
just Truth
Instagram
Pics.
handle in the comment section so that they can go check you out. Have you ever?
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell them. He was one that took my wedding pictures, my courthouse wedding pictures. In case you guys don't know,
Yes.
and I like it. It was amazing, and we all had fun that day. And so,
Yeah,
guys,
really,
if you
really did.
want professional pictures, nice shoots, go check him out on his page and Instagram as well. Trust me, you will not regret it. Okay. So I wanted to ask, how do people get to know about you, Casey?
Okay, so I think for me, or what I've built my, like, I wouldn't want to call it a company yet, but I would say what I've built my business on is actually referrals. That's what I usually thank God for, in the sense that most people that I've worked with, like I would say out of, if I say 100, like out of 100%, I would say I always do get at least 95 to 98% satisfaction from the customer. So I think most
Wow.
of my work usually does come from referrals, in the sense that once I work with them, people ask
Mm.
them like, "Oh, who took these photos? Who did this for you?" Then they're like, "Oh
Wow.
yeah, there's this guy called Casey. Check out his Instagram." So Instagram,
Wow.
yes, Instagram does um, promote my page, in the sense that people get to see it. Like, people don't, people believe what they can see, right? So
Yeah.
Instagram gives me that platform to show what I do. And
Mm.
I think for me, most of my work comes from referrals, most from people, like. And I think there's something I have to state, in the sense that here in the Philippines, I don't know if that was a question you wanted to ask, but I think it's something I need to say, in the sense that here in the Philippines, there are not a lot of Nigerians who actually are doing freelancing. So that's something I would just say, in case maybe you have maybe questions further. That's just something I would say. So there are not a lot of um, Nigerians or Africans actually doing freelancing, especially when it comes to photography. So it's like I don't really have that much competition when it comes to
Yeah.
customers, because like people will be like, oh, there's just this one guy, Casey. So it's like I
Yeah.
don't really
Oh.
have to struggle that much to get
Mm.
those clients, because
Mm.
like I know that there are people who have started, like some people
Mm.
started, but like they couldn't keep up with it. They just, maybe after a few months, and they see how hard it is and expensive things can
Mm.
be, they just
Yes.
leave it. So it's yeah. So it's something you really have to put your time, your effort, and most importantly, your money. That's like, you really have to spend your money on a lot of things when it has to do with photography.
So when you post those people's pictures on your Instagram,
Mm.
do you just post or do you also make use of hashtags? Because hashtag is also a way that people can get to come across your page on Instagram. Do you do that?
Yeah, that's very true. I think when I first started, I didn't really focus on that. So, but as time went by, I noticed that whenever I put those hashtags, like whenever I take a photo, depending on what the vibe is, like if it's, for instance, like a wedding photo, so then I start to
Mm.
put hashtags like hashtag weddings, hashtag wedding photos, hashtag weddings in Manila, hashtag
Mm.
Philippines, like putting all these hashtags
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
to, like spread it. As soon as I post it, I noticed that with every post, at least there's another maybe 5 to 10 people, new people who maybe
Mm.
start to like my photos or try to follow me. Like I think
Mm.
as of now, I think I'm around 1,000, 1,200, a thousand two
Mm.
hundred followers, and that's that's organic following. Like like it's different from when people pay for
Yeah.
following, or they
Pay
go to
for,
buy
yes.
followers. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yes.
those
That's what I'm
those
asking.
one thousand two hundred.
You can also use this hashtags, this Filipino celebrities, these shoots,
Mm,
you know, you can use them
yes,
as well
exactly.
because there's one thing I learned. You can easily make it in the Philippines because one thing I notice about those people is that they are so supportive and they're always on social media.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I agree with you on that one 100%, because like um well, I think just as a human being, or even as a Nigerian, you know how it is whenever you want to start something. People would
Mm,
always be like, "Oh, is it gonna work? Are you gonna be
yeah.
successful?" Like
Yeah.
you get all those kind of comments from people, even people who are your friends. They would want to
Yeah.
they don't want to put I don't know if they're putting you down intentionally, or if they're just doing it because they're bitter about it. So there are always people who would say, oh, it would never work. Like when I started, they were like, oh, you're a black guy, you're a Nigerian, no Filipino would call you. If I'm being honest, if I've done 100 shoots, I would say 80% of them are from Filipinos.
See?
80% are from
See?
Filipinos. Most of the African community, yes, they would call me, but they would still want to go with a Filipino. I don't know why. I don't know if they don't want to support, their fellow Nigerian, or if it's just something, they just want to do. I don't know. It could be maybe those people are better. There's nothing against
Yeah,
that, but like most of my
yeah.
work comes from Filipinos than from Nigerians or from
Filipino.
Africans.
Yeah.
Most of my work are from Filipinos.
When I wanted to do that my wedding shoot, I knew there are better Filipinos. I've gone to their shops, but I saw you were shooting this lady. What's her name? Penelope, Cynthia,
Oh
and it
yeah,
was nice.
yes, yes,
I said, well,
yeah,
my Nigerian brother is a photographer in the Philippines. Why not, support him? That was it. I
yeah.
love supporting people. But anyway, thank God, look at you today. Did you ever imagine to be where you are today?
If I'm being honest, no. If I'm being honest,
Mm-hmm.
no. At this age, I know I'm not that old. I mean, I'm only 24, gonna be 25 this year. At this age,
Mm.
I know there are a lot of my mates or a lot of people who are around this age who haven't really known what they want to do with their lives, or,
Sure.
try to pursue it, or try to, do something about it. So I think at the age
Yeah.
of 24, I'm doing, working two jobs in a country where there are no jobs. I
I
think
know, right?
I'm yeah, so I would say I'm super happy, I'm super grateful, and I know there's still more things to come, but at this stage, I'm contented. Like I'm really okay.
Mm. What was your biggest challenge that you have ever encountered in your
My
life?
is it in photography or in life in general?
In life in general?
Okay. My biggest challenge. Okay. I would say, okay, as of recent, like this present year, my dad had kidney failure, and he had to go through kidney transplant, So at that time, it was really difficult, not just for me, but for everyone in the family, because me and my other brother, we are abroad. He's in China also working, so we thank God for that. And so it's something that was a bit difficult for me, because I didn't have, I mean, in as much as I make money here, it's not enough to say that, I'm sending millions back home, so at that time it was a bit difficult for me, because I had this mental, I don't want to say mental issue at the time. I would just say I was kind of feeling depressed at the time, because I felt like I wasn't doing enough. I felt like I wasn't making enough to actually assist my family, because he had this big issue and we had to solve it. But then I think what happened was, like, yeah, so what I'll say is, what happened was, I think God just came through, in the sense that things that I've done, or people that I've met along the way within this last 4 or 5 years that I've been here, they were super
Hmm.
supportive. So my girlfriend actually made, like, there was this poster she made, and then she was like, help support Casey. His dad is going through this. If you want to support, send money to this account. And when she did that and sent it, like on Instagram, like, I didn't know, like, the thing just blew up. Like, a lot of people were reposting it. A lot of people were messaging me. Like, there were a lot of messages that I couldn't even handle, because it was a lot. And people, like, kept on saying, okay, like, what's the account? I'll send you something. What's the account? I'll send you something. And at
Aw.
the end of the day, like, it was a lot of people, and they did send enough that the money we raised here was close to 1 million. Was
Wow.
close to 1 million from money that we raised here. So in a way, it was like the hardest time for me, but then it was also like the biggest blessing, because like yeah, because like, I finally saw what, the work I'd done, and what I'd achieved from it. And yeah, so yeah, that was like the hardest thing for me at the time. But I'm
Aw.
just happy, and I thank God that you know things worked out, I guess.
Oh, that was really so touchy. So, what advice do you have for anyone that is out there struggling to make it in life?
All right. I think what I would say is, um, basically just going with, just going with your gut and going with, um, things that you believe in. Like if you believe that you could actually do something, like, okay, like I know I had a friend, or I have, sorry, I guess I had a friend. I have a friend. He's a DJ.
Mm,
I know you know him, DJ Hector. So we actually
okay.
started together. Yeah, so we actually started together. Like, I was doing photography, he was doing the DJ thing. So we would go to parties, we would organize parties, and like we kept on doing that. And right now he's a really big guy now. Like he's doing a lot for himself. So I think my
He's still
biggest
in
advice
Philippines,
would
right?
be, no, he went back to Nigeria to get his license. So you see, he's actually a pharmacist and a DJ as well. So he went home to get his
Wow.
license.
Just like me, I'm a
Yeah.
nurse and a vlogger as well. You see?
See? Yeah. So I guess
Oh
that's
my.
that's the biggest thing. Like, that dream or that thing that you feel like would motivate you to do more. For me, it could be photography. For you, it could be vlogging. For him, it could be DJing. For someone, it could be
Mm,
cooking. For somebody else,
mm,
it could be dancing. Like
mm,
those things, do not disregard them. Do not see them as little things, because you don't know where those things will take you. With this
mm,
photography, I know people who I've met, like people who are big, like people who I know that if I wasn't doing photography, I wouldn't meet them. So
wow.
I think my biggest advice would be, that dream or that passion that you have, just follow it. People say it sounds easier than it's done, but
True.
I think that's something that people have to really do, especially when you're abroad. You never know where it's gonna take you. I mean, even like back then I used to dance. Like I used to dance and they would call me to dance at shows. But it wasn't making me money. That's why like I had to stop it.
Yeah,
But like
you
I knew
stopped.
where
Yeah.
yeah, but I know where that dancing I know where that dancing took me. I know people who I met through the dancing. So I just feel
Mm.
like whatever it is, just pursue it. You never know where it's gonna take you. That's just my advice to people.
Thank you so much. I learned a lot from this and I really enjoyed this interview, Casey.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for watching and see you in my next interview. Ingat!